want to save a texture as a texture asset. So what I think I want to do is I'm just going to snag the texture data out of the texture itself, and then I need that in there. I think I'll try to snag the data out of the bitmaps for the texture and look at that. So it'll be in our graphics utils. Load texture into color array. Alright, so to do this we pass in the texture, we pass in a T-array of fcolor, and we'll see if this works. I'm not sure if it'll work with a dynamic texture. We've had some problems pulling stuff out of MIP, pulling colors out of textures based on bitmap stuff, but this is kind of an editor-only shim, so I'm not really too worried about making it work for every case. I just want it to work, kind of. And if I have to go through and I find that I need it to work in more than one case or something else, I can go improve it. But as in all game development, there's a line between doing things perfectly and getting your thing actually shipped. If we don't really care, then we don't care. You can spend all the time in the world making something super amazing, and it won't matter. We'll never ship our game. I guess it's kind of a quiet day today. I think I get more people when I'm streaming at like 2 in the morning. I guess everybody who watches game development streams is actually doing like game development, or they're doing stuff during the day. Like maybe they actually have jobs. Maybe. Who knows? So let's see if we can actually get this thing saved. So we should be able to pop it down, click a button and get a new texture, but I need to fix the blueprint first in order to call save texture asset. So I think that's everything. So we hit play, hit that B button, get that in there, click on this thing, and then we can call, should be under the debug, call an editor, should be save dynamic ripple texture. Alright, let's go see where that went. Looks like it got nothing. It's got nothing. What? That's obviously incorrect. Test water dynamic ripples. Alright, so were we just not able to do any of this? Maybe it got compiled out. It looks like it got compiled out. So the initial color was 0. We're gonna lock this thing. We're able to get the data out of it is what it looks like. So supposedly we snagged everything out of it, but not seeing anything. And of course we just locked up Visual Studio. So let's see if we can detach and if the editor recovers. Yeah, okay. It's interesting with the transient texture there, we're not actually getting its data out. So I guess what I've got to do is try a little bit different strategy. So what's in the map utils? Basically what we're using for our data for this is our where is it? It is going to be this. We're gonna write all this thing. We're calling build texture. So texture component im data sub r. So is our texture creator component have us the ability to access the data? We've got this get data. So we can do something like this. We can use our previous functions. But instead of calling get texture, we're going to call get data. Maybe this will do what we want. I don't see anything in there though. Alright, well what I'm going to do here then is I'm just going to go into our event graph and I'm going to say inside of here if a key is triggered inside of our updates, and this key is going to be a different key. Let's have it be the Z key or something like that. If this is true, then we'll try to save it at runtime, because maybe that'll work. It didn't save anything. Oh wait, yeah it did. Here it is. Alright, so I've got my texture here. So I can take out my Z key. And it looks like it did work earlier, I just had it screwed up. I just couldn't see it, I don't think. Anyway, I am going to be right back, and I am going to then start on the actual material. Now that I've got some debug texture I can use to actually look at as I develop. So time to... Yes, hello Karakan. Sorry, I was away. Also, good afternoon. I don't know if you saw there, but what we got working was we got the flow field here following along. So as we spun out those particles, they actually follow and fall off the edge of the world over there. I'm not sure what that flickering is. I think I might be having some trouble with my graphics card. I haven't restarted in a very long time. And I've got my dynamic texture here, which I can actually go. We can actually go make the ripples look like ripples in the material now. What a freaking concept. You know, we can add them to the water. So let's do that. Water surface material. Alright, so we need... What exactly are we going to do for the effect for the water here? Oh, come on. I didn't mean to do that. So this is going to be dynamic ripples. Yeah, I think once I get the dynamic ripples in here, like, it's really just, I need to get the decals working, like a decal system that actually we can do stuff with, but that's not even really a water thing, it's just like getting decals working for everything, so it's not really a water specific task, but it is kind of a water specific task. But yeah, it's almost there, like we're on the other side of the hill. Are we already passing in this thing? So we have our calm watercolor, surface color, roughness max, particle texture, height map, distance, flow field, water speed, water direction opacity. Guess we're not passing it in yet. Alright, so we'll have dynamic ripples as a thing here. I need to go get my test texture. So the red channel is going to be the ripples. What are we writing exactly? Yeah, we're just writing the R channel for the max magnitude. So that's our ripple. So how exactly do we want to mess with this thing? Like, we could just have a ripple color and then just like draw a color on top or something. It's all down here into the saw blade, yeah. The other thing is we don't really have the normals for this texture. And this goes from 0 to 1 for the actual color. With 0.5 being 0. So should we have like a positive and negative color? Let me try that. I don't know what it's gonna look like, so you know, I don't have any reason not to do something. So let's have a ripple pause color and a ripple neg color. So let's just make this one like bright and make this one dark. So what we want to do is we want to take this from so basically it's like if this is greater than what, 0.5? Then we are going to return 1. I have this hooked up wrong. Let me see. I need to do math on this. Why is this an error? Oh, because I'm not setting the other ones. Alright, so this one is going to go from 0.5 to 1, and we want to do that from 0 to 1. So we want to multiply this by that, and then we're going to remap. I guess we want to, it goes from 0.5 to 1. So if we subtract 0.5 and multiply by 2, so we'll subtract 0.5 and then we multiply by 2 and then we multiply by the color here. Alright, and this one is going to be 1 minus this value, and we're going to do the same thing here pretty much. So if we multiply this value here, this is going to go from 0 to 0.5, we just need to multiply it by 2 to have it go from 0 to 1, but it needs to be inverted. So it's going to be 1 minus at the end of this. And then we just do a multiply here by this color, and then we add the two colors together. Didn't quite work out, did it? Why when adding them together does that be what it makes? Because this is our color here. Alright, I guess I've pretty much got to do a different if statement here. Alright, so this thing is going to be if this is less than b, it's going to be 1. Less than 0.5? We don't want less than equal to. I am confused. Point 1. What? Okay, so what is this exactly? Alright, so we're going to go through. This isn't exactly what I thought it was. So the colors are from the minimum value, so we're clamping to 255. It is the magnitude plus max magnitude divided by 2.0f divided by max magnitude times blah. So it's not actually mapping it from 0 to 1 properly with a negative. I mean, min-mag we're not even using, are we? So I guess we have the wrong values in here a little bit. The negative values are too far negative, that they are pulling down, or is it that the zeros are? It's like 0 plus maximum should be 0.5. Yeah, I'd expect the 0.5 or at least the 0.4 to be correct, but it's not 0.5, it's something else. Let's export this asset, open it up in our paint program. What value are we actually getting written here? It's writing 127. It's writing 0.5. Okay, like, then what the hell? Like, something is... Because I'm looking at the code, and the code's saying what I think it is. So, something is here wrong with my if statement. I don't get it. That's... Something must be wrong somewhere else. I guess maybe some texture compression or something else is going on. Well, let's just set it to, you know, some constant here. Alright, so we're going to go from 0 to 1.5, needs to go from 0 to 1. So if we look at this, it should go from 0 to 1. Which it most certainly is not doing. No, it's just going to be 1 after this, and then we need to multiply it by this value. So what happens when you start getting confused? So it's going from what to what? it's going from 0.5 to 0. So if we remap this value, it should go from 0 to 1, and then we multiply it again to mask it, and it should go from 0 to 1 smoothly. Kind of like that. Then we have that value, and we have that value, and we have them together. That doesn't seem to be adding them together. Like, this color should be added and show up here, so we need to like clamp these values because there's probably some negatives coming through. You do another remap instead of a multiply by 2. Well, if that's a dynamic ripple color, I don't know. Maybe we can just add it in there? I really have absolutely no idea. That is so dumb. Why does it grab that end of it? Well, I have absolutely no idea what this will look like. Will this just look like utter trash? I mean, actually, that doesn't look complete trash. Alright, so this is the dynamic ripples texture. And I can kind of change how I write these values in here if I need to. We've got the calculations going on. Alright, so this is inside of setup shader variables. We're going to need to set up our texture. And that's the limit for all of our texture inputs, so we can't put any more in here. So we are going to grab our this texture. Well, that's interesting looking. What the hell happened to those? Did we move this thing at some point? Because it looks like we're not hitting the ground anymore with this thing. I'm wondering why. We must have moved the water surface. Yeah, we weren't even getting our planar reflections. I must have moved it on accident. Alright, well. So let's regenerate all that stuff. Is it reflecting or just lightening the water? Well, I mean, it's adding the color into it. So it's changing the water's color. It is not changing the normal of the surface of the water. It's real subtle. And I don't know why those fat sack dudes are now above the water for some reason. Alright, so I need to do dynamic ripple opacity. I need to do a multiply. Come on, let me click that. Come on, Unreal, let me click it. Let me click it, you piece of shit. Ah. This looks better as a subtle effect. It's interesting how when you just stop it, it looks kind of really weird and crappy, but when it's moving, it looks totally different. Alright, I've got to change the dynamic ripple opacity to be something we can pass in. Yes, the wonder of animation. Alright, let's set stuff properly here. And maybe what I need is a mask in one of the channels. Like, is there anything here at all? And then a magnitude in the other, because you can't really differentiate between the two very easily. Alright, so we need to set our scalar parameter value, which is our dynamic ripple opacity. And we're going to set it to dynamic ripple opacity. Set that to 1. Snag that. I actually need to multiply it. Multiply by pi. No, just multiply by float. So we can basically toggle this thing on and off and all that. And this is an extreme case of a ripple. Yeah, I think our algorithm for this is just trash. So I need to improve it. So how should I write all this information in here? Like, I want to know if there's actually something in the data. Like, is there any semblance of a wave? So I guess if anything was written to, our write bits would be non-zero.